Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today I'm going to be going through my orchid collection and I've made some decisions about which ones stay in water culture and which ones I've placed in moss recently, and I'm going to give you the reasons why. And I'm also going to do updates on my star orchids today. Okay, I placed this one in moss yesterday. This is my yellow sunshine fowl. And I was looking at it and I was wondering whether this one was doing well or not in water culture. And usually when I am actually wondering that kind of tells me that it's not doing as well as I think it should. So I decided to go ahead and place this in moss, and I kind of thought I'd show you why. Do you see right here? These are the roots that I have that are in the moss. And then a lot of these roots have grown over on the side here as air roots. So what happens is in the winter, when it gets colder and the air is drier, I'm going to have to work really hard to keep these hydrated. So I thought, I'm just going to go ahead and put it in moss. I'm thinking ahead because I want to get some good root growth on it before the cold weather sets in. This is a really good time. Early autumn is a good time to repot your orchids if you're thinking about repotting, or convert any over that you really don't think have had really good growth for you in water culture. The same with my little Intensity Mini. It was doing okay in water culture, but I just thought I want some more root growth out of it before it starts getting cold. Because as you see, here's my little star orchid that we've been watching. Check it out. You just cannot hardly argue with these results. So I want for my other little mini to have as good results as this one. But if I want to get it some good root growth, I need to start working with it now while there's still some time in the growing season. So I thought I'd go ahead and give you some pointers on how I place these in moss. I do have a tutorial on this dated July 1st, 2017 on my channel if you're interested in a step-by-step approach. But just some reminders. Make sure that you don't allow your premium grade orchid moss to dry out completely between the times that you water it. You're wanting to not over water it, but you want to make sure that it's not bone dry before you water it. Make sure it's just damp to the touch, and then you're going to know that it's time to water it. If you over water moss, it's not going to give you a good result either. It's going to compact down on you. So make sure that you have something handy, like this is a chopstick, yes. And I help kind of guide the moss into the pots in and around these little spaces. It helped especially with this one. And I just wanted to show you, I keep it really light and airy. If you place too much moss in here, it's not going to work. It's going to compact down, and it's going to actually keep the moisture away from the plant. So make sure you pack them very loosely. Now here, I've put some of those non-dissolvable peanuts in the bottom of this because this is an orchid pot. It has holes on the bottom, so I wanted to improve the drainage in that a little bit. So I do use the peanuts on the bottoms of the orchid pots. On these, I don't. And this is the orchid that I placed in moss for my tutorial on July 1st. And this has grown extremely well in the moss. As a matter of fact, the moss has sprouted, which means that when I go to repot this in a bigger pot, when it needs it, then all I need to do is just slip this whole thing out of this cup, place it in a larger pot with more of the orchid grade moss, and that's it. I don't have to disturb the roots. This moss method is a really good method for beginners. When I started growing orchids, I grew mine in moss and I loved it. So it's a very fun way to be able to see the root system with your plant. I mean, I can check on this all the time. I can check on this root growth anytime. And it does really, really well. And it's an easy way to grow your orchids. Now this is a little mini that I bought last month, and I didn't have any orchid grade moss, so I placed this in bark. The trick to bark is to make sure that you get a really good quality bark. But this little orchid has done really, really well in this bark. I've had a really good growth with this. I have really been impressed, to be honest with you. So I thought I'd just kind of go over some reasons why you need to repot or convert from water culture to another media, because some phals especially thrive in water culture and others just don't like it. I've had it happen to me. This miniature right here, the roots just grew up really high up on the plant. I couldn't keep it in the pot, so I couldn't keep it in water culture. So there just wasn't enough roots down far enough on the plant to keep it in water culture. So it was falling out of the pot. That's not what you want for your orchids. So if you're not getting enough root growth or leaf growth, then you need to be converting it to a different media. If you have a lot of rotten roots that you're dealing with, then you need to convert to another media. Like I said, the roots that grow up high on the plant, not that grow down deep into the container, you're going to have a hard time trying to keep that plant hydrated. It will do better for you in media. Also, if you're not comfortable with water culture, then I wouldn't suggest you do it. It is not an easy method of growing orchids. As a matter of fact, it takes a lot of expertise, in my opinion, to know what to do with the roots and when to do it. So if you're a beginner, I would suggest you go with some media for at least a year or so until you learn to grow your orchids, and then maybe you can try a phal that you find on a discount table to see if you like the method. If you're wondering, like I was, is my orchid doing well in water culture? Is it doing well? Then you're probably not in the right method. Then you probably need to go to a different growing method. You might not even like it. It might be more work than you want to put into your orchids. Some of them convert quickly and well, and that's easy. And some of them just don't do well. There's no reasoning behind it. They just don't like water culture. Okay, here's my Baldwin's kaleidoscope that is in water culture. And as you see, it's doing really, really well. It's been in water culture for about a year and a half now. And the interesting thing about this is over the winter, it lost a lot of its roots. And then they grew back. What happened with this orchid is I had put it under a heat vent and left it like that during vacation. We were gone for about a week and all these roots had just dried out. They have rebounded now, but this plant really did not do very well over the winter because of those roots being damaged. But it has rebounded really nicely. As you see, there's a lot of algae in this container, and that's usually when you're going to start seeing them get really start really thriving in water culture, is when you see the algae and that white fluffy mold in the container and on the roots. Now this one is my tester phal for water culture. Whatever I try new with my water culture orchids, I try it out on this one first. And as you see, this one has really done well in water culture. But I got this new. I got this actually for $2. Yes, for $2 on a sale table. And immediately brought it home, put it in water culture, and it's done really well ever since. I wouldn't suggest you put an orchid that's been in media for more than a year or two. I just would not put that one in water culture at all. I've had a lot of trouble with the phals that I've had in bark for a while, and I've tried to convert them to water culture. Those are the ones that you really have to work with, and it's very time consuming. Okay, here's an example of a phal that pretty much chose water culture, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. For a while, she didn't like water culture very much, and then I placed her in this plastic container. She likes it in here. As you see, she is hanging on to this pot. She is actually stuck in this pot. So I think that she likes being there, and that she's telling me that is her home. So what I do to make sure that she doesn't get any root rot is about 2 or 3 times a week, I drain all the water that is in this container. I take it and I just drain it in here. I let it set for the day. The orchid is dry all day is what I mean by that. And then I take the water, pour it back in the container at night. And so she's been happy in here ever since. And here's the root system of my phal golden number 5. She's got a lot of algae in her vase. She's got lots of white fluffy mold. She's got microfilament. She's got it all going on. So she is doing really, really well. She's happy in here. And this one has given me no trouble at all in water culture. I bought her last September, placed her in water culture immediately. She had a fabulous root system. There was hardly any rot with her root system when I took her out of the pot. I think that this one was in moss. No, she was in bark. So the bark just fell right off of the root system. Didn't have to pry any bark off. I don't suggest you do that. If you have a phal and when you go to repot it, there's a lot of bark that's stuck to the roots, then repot that one in bark. You will be really happy that you did. But this one came out very clean after I repotted. Well, actually after I converted it to water culture, and she's spiking again and she's happy. So this is a happy water culture story right here. So I hope you all have a great day and be highly favored, deeply loved, and greatly blessed. And we'll talk to you next time.